The unexpected gift. How losing everything can unveil true wealth at 39. Daniel had everything people pointed to when they said he made it. A modern apartment overlooking the city, a luxury car he barely drove, a job title that sounded impressive at dinners, and a calendar packed so tightly that silence felt like a threat. From the outside, his life looked like success polished to a mirror shine. From the inside, it felt hollow, but Daniel didn't have the language for that yet. Then, in the span of 6 months, it all unraveled. The company he'd given 12 years to collapsed after a scandal he had nothing to do with. His savings were tied up in stock that became worthless overnight. Stress bled into his marriage until conversations turned into quiet resentments. And eventually, quiet turned into absence. When the divorce papers came, Daniel stared at them longer than he should have, as if the words might rearrange themselves into something kinder. By winter, he was sleeping on a borrowed couch, scrolling through job boards that all seemed to want a version of him he no longer recognized. The city lights he once admired from above now glared at him from street level. For the first time in his adult life, Daniel had nothing to prove and no idea who he was without the proving. Loss doesn't arrive politely. It strips. It exposes. And it leaves you standing in a silence that's louder than any applause you once chased. At first, Daniel fought that silence. He filled his days with frantic applications, late-night streaming, and endless mental replays of what went wrong. But one morning, with nowhere urgent to be, he took a long walk instead. No headphones, no agenda, just cold air and moving feet. That walk became a habit. Without realizing it, Daniel began to notice things he'd been too busy to see before. The same barista who remembered names, the retired man feeding birds at the park. Every morning, the quiet satisfaction of a meal, cooked slowly rather than ordered quickly. These moments didn't fix his problems, but they softened the edges of them. One afternoon, he wandered into a community center advertising free financial literacy workshops. Ironically, the man who once managed million-dollar accounts sat in the back of the room, listening. After the session, a volunteer struck up a conversation. When Daniel mentioned his background, the volunteer asked, almost casually, "Would you ever consider helping out here?" Daniel laughed. Help? He was the one who needed it. But the next week he returned. Teaching others people rebuilding after debt, divorce, or disaster did something unexpected. It reminded Daniel that his value hadn't vanished with his paycheck. His knowledge still mattered. His presence still helped. For the first time since everything fell apart, he went home tired in a good way. As months passed, his life didn't magically transform. He didn't land a dream job overnight or win back what he'd lost. But something subtler, deeper began to grow. He rebuilt relationships, real ones. Not networking connections, but conversations that didn't need an outcome. He learned to sit with discomfort instead of numbing it. He discovered that peace wasn't the absence of struggle, but the presence of meaning. Daniel eventually found work again, but it looked nothing like his old career. It paid less. It demanded more heart. And it gave him something money never had: alignment. His days made sense now. His nights were quieter. His laughter came easier. Looking back, Daniel realized a hard truth. The life he lost had been built on accumulation, more status, more security, more approval. The life he found was built on contribution, connection, and clarity. True wealth, he learned, isn't what survives when things go right. It's what emerges when everything familiar is taken away. Many people fear loss because they believe it leaves only emptiness behind, but emptiness can be a doorway. When the noise fades, you hear your own voice again. When the distractions disappear, purpose has space to step forward. When the false measures of success fall away, the real ones finally have room to grow. Daniel doesn't romanticize what he went through. Losing everything hurt. It reshaped him through pressure, not comfort. But he no longer calls that season a failure. He calls it a gift he never would have chosen, but one that gave him a life he finally understands. Sometimes, the greatest abundance arrives not when you gain more, but when you re-brave enough to see what remains after you lose it all.